Hello and welcome to the channel. I've got a 2 for Tuesday for you. I've already done a video on this. So these are 2 Lambsfoot, Sheffield Arthurite Lambsfoot knives. I've done a video on this. This was sort of stemmed a bit of a story and a bit of coming and going between me and Paddy, and was brilliant really. And if you want to see that story unfold, go check out both of the videos. I've got one on this. He's got one on a teak covered material one. But a bit of backstory. There was a company called Sheffield GB. Unfortunately, they've ceased trading. The guy was called Malcolm. He was a brilliant chap, quite a character, very knowledgeable guy. He was in the forum, the knife forums, like I wouldn't say many years, but years ago, and quite a big presence there. So what he used to do, he used to sort of get an Arthurite pattern with the rosewoods and have them recovered. I don't think he did him himself. I think he was more the brains of the outfit, but you never know. But he got some amazing materials. I had one in an African horn that had beautiful marbling. This is Caroline birch. Paddy's got one with teak covers from a ship. It was a brilliant idea, very similar to what Boker did with the Castleberg sort of line. But if you're watching, Malk, please start up again. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough off you, mate, and I think there's a big demand for that now. But that sort of brings me on to a bit of another subject that I want to talk about before I sort of go into this knife, and we'll sort of have a little look around this knife. So if you think about sort of, I've started to, like I say, post things of sort of factory tours and things like that on my community page. I just want to sort of give people a bit of an insight into the UK knife scene. So if you look at even some of the German brands, and especially like Case, Book, things like that, it's done on a massive scale. They really are doing a lot of knives a day. Now, I mentioned about popping to Sheffield and just swinging by and seeing a few places, and that is what the knife scene over here is like. Very scaled down. I know, obviously population and demand and everything has a big part to play in that, but it really is a smaller scene over here. And when I say it's a smaller scene, before the recent owners of Arthurite, I think they did small runs of different covered material. They didn't advertise them. They were very small runs. I don't know the quantity, what they were producing them in, but they went through a stage just before they changed over owners, I believe, where they chucked out a few small runs. This one's in spalted maple. I was lucky enough to get hold of it, and again, because they're small runs and it's a small workshop and things like that, they just used to chuck them out. That we have a few big sites. Well, I say big, not in comparison to other places around the world, but I used to pick mine mainly up on Moonrake. I know Heine Haynes did a bit, but they came out with like no advertisement, no fuss. Luckily, I sort of look at these sites religiously, so I used to snap them up. And that's what I'm saying. It's very small over here. People might think, oh, he's going to go and see Michael May, but he's there in a workshop on his own. I think he's got an apprentice now. It's a very small workshop, and that's how the scene is over here. I mean, Heine Haynes is probably our biggest UK seller over here, and I bet they've not got many staff. I bet they've probably got a handful of staff. I know Moonraker is done by a man and a wife. I did hear on the grapevine they're in their 70s, so it's such a small. Now it can be seen as a pro, it could be seen as a con. I like it. I like the fact it's a smaller sort of scene in certain respects. But yeah, they did these small little runs, lobbed them on the sites, and then if you were lucky enough, you managed to pick up. But this isn't spalted maple, and I thought you guys would want to see it, and tell me in the comments if you managed to grab one of these. I missed one of them, and I can't remember what the wood was, but yeah, I was a bit gutted about that. But yeah, they sold really quick. But yeah, look at that marbling in the wood grain. It has got an indentation there. I can't remember if I bought it like that or whether I have knocked it, or I've used this one unfortunately, and it was a lot lighter, and then I used it before I sort of protected it with boiled linseed oil, so it was a lot lighter than this. Unfortunately, the pile side is a lot nicer than the show side in my eyes, because you can see that grain a lot more. But beautiful knife, and that is too. So let's move. If you want to see more of an in-depth look at this, check my other video out. Check Paddy's one out about that teak oil. Let's get Malk trading again. A bit about this. The hafting's done beautifully. No raised parts, or as you can see, it's not been hafted brilliantly here, but I quite like that. It just shows that human element to it. It's a lamb's foot. So just a quick one about lamb's foots. They were created or designed for dressing lamb's hoofs. I clean them out and then obviously trimming them, and it tapers down basically. So where the tang is, it tapers down to a point. A sort of sheep's foot is parallel and has more of a rounded, less of an aggressive point here, and then a ram's foot is smaller here and tapers up and it comes around there. And basically they were designed for looking after the hoofs of the animals, and designed so that they could get in there and clean them out and trim them. So that's where the sort of origin of the blade shapes come from. So this has got usual brilliant walk and torque, really snappy, got a real strong back spring. I like a strong back spring. It can always break in a bit more with more use. When you've got a soft pull or a rubbish back spring, it's never going to get any better. It's only going to get worse, isn't it? So and obviously because we're not allowed locking blades and things like that, it just gives you a bit more confidence in it. You can choke up here anyway. But yeah, I thought you guys would want to see this one. I like it. It's a beautiful one in the collection. There you go. I'll leave you with the covers. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys. See you in a bit.